Hi, this is Musa. The US Championship 2015 has just ended last night, and Nakamura won the tournament with 8 points, followed by Ray Robson with 7.5 and Wesley So with 6.5. And I gotta say that if Wesley So wasn't forfeited from a game against Okobian with white pieces and having lost 2 silly games, he would have had a great chance to fight for the first place against Nakamura. This is the game that I want to show you from the last round between Nakamura with white pieces and Onischuk with black. Nakamura started with a Scotch Gambit, and after e5 kicking the knight, d5 here, and if pawn takes f6, pawn takes c4, so bishop to b5 to pin the knight, knight to e4, now the knight is cemented and protected, knight gets the pawn back, and bishop to c5. Nakamura chose bishop to e3. Let's see some choices. What about knight takes c6, then bishop takes f2, king f1, b takes c6, bishop takes c6, and maybe king to f8. Let's see bishop to d7, then you don't take the rook on a8 because of bishop b5 and you lose your queen, so queen takes d5. This is of course a win for white, a lot better. And this is attacking the bishop on d7 and the rook on a8, so, and the knight of course on e4, so maybe black's best choice is to castle kingside. Queen takes d7, queen takes d7, and bishop takes d7, rook a d8, and maybe bishop back to g4, or even something like knight to c3. If rook takes bishop, then knight takes knight, so if knight takes knight, now king takes f2, knight back to e4 with a check, king to f3, and maybe rook takes d7 is a good move. Let's go back after king to f1 here in this variation. What about something like queen to h4, knight takes a7 check, c6 blocking, and knight takes c8. If c takes b5, then knight to d6 check, knight takes knight, e takes knight. The threat is queen to e2 with a check, so this is winning the bishop on f2, so black castles and queen to f3, bishop c5, knight c3, bishop takes pawn, knight takes pawn, and white is a piece up. Let's see after knight takes c8 here. What about rook takes c8, which is better than bishop to e2 back, bishop c5. This is threatening mate, so queen e1 and bishop goes back to f2, and it's a draw. Okay, let's go back to the game. This is the game, and we have bishop e3, castling kingside for black. Knight takes c6, b takes c6, bishop takes c5, and pawn cannot take on b5 because the rook is attacked on f8, so knight takes bishop, bishop takes pawn, rook to b8, and white did not protect his b2, he castled kingside. Rook takes b2, queen takes d5, attacking the knight, forcing queen exchange, queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, and rook takes c2. Knight to a3, attacking the rook, rook e2, and rook a c1, attacking the knight and x-raying c7. Knight d3, attacking e5, rook takes c7, of course attacking the rook on c1, so rook takes c7, bishop to e6, trying to exchange bishops and maybe win the pawn on a3. So bishop goes back to b3, if bishop takes bishop, a takes b3, and white is fine, so a5 now, preparing rook takes e5 to defend the a5 pawn, and rook a7 still haunts the pawn on a5. Bishop takes bishop, a takes bishop, rook takes e5, and knight c4 attacking the rook, rook b5, attacking b3, rook b1, and note that white is ahead one move of black because of the rook on f8. Knight c5 attacking the pawn, and now knight takes pawn on a5. Rook e8, white solves back rank problems by g3, same from black, and b4. And this is where the position gets interesting, maybe the whole game gets interesting. Knight d3 attacking f2, Knight c6 now, and rook e2. And white here, Nakamura played rook d7, attacking the knight and provoking knight takes f2, and black indeed did. Let's see other choices of black. Maybe rook to c2, attacking the other knight. Maybe black didn't like this, but after knight e7 check, king h8, knight takes g6, h takes g6, rook takes knight, and white is 2 pawns up and may win the game easily. After rook c4, attacking the pawn, rook db3, white is winning. So knight f2, knight takes f2 was provoked, and now knight to d4, perhaps the only move that saves the game for white. This is attacking a rook, which is a potential direct attack to the white king. And now the only move, knight h3 check, king h1, and black played the knight back to f2. Let's see rook d2, pinning the knight. Then first rook d8 check. After king to g7, we have knight to e6 check, forcing an exchange down for black. After knight g5, maybe white will like to exchange rooks on c5. Knight e4 preventing that, but rook c4 first, knight goes back to f6, and maybe rook c5. Let's go back to the game. This is the game, and this is knight to f2 check, and this is allowing the king to escape. And black here completely collapsed by playing knight d1 check, maybe forgetting that the knight on d4 still attacks the rook and prevents the check. After knight takes e2, black Onischuk resigned. Nakamura won the game and won the tournament brilliantly. Congratulations for him. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.